Good morning, everybody. I am still trying to wake up this morning. I'm so tired. Say hello,
Ooh.
my darling co-host.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy awakeness for everybody.
I hope it's happy awakeness for everybody. Don't mind us as we continue putting some chill music in our background while we talk today. Um,
Yeah.
so you know me. I have to I can't I have to have some kind of form of structure for something that we're going to be talking about today. And that is video games. Like mostly I know it's such a broad subject. I wish to sleep. I feel you, or I really do. I literally just had a coffee. Um but it's such a broad topic, right? Video games.
Yeah.
Because there are so much or so many different types of video games, there's so much to talk about. So I found a list of questions to get us started if
Okay.
you want to know some of these questions.
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
go.
So, very first question, and you can find this too on printdiscuss.com. Video game conversation questions. Do you like video games?
Yes.
Why or why not? That's why they like why or why not do you like video games?
Um, I like that they're engaging. I like that it will, like, especially modern times, like have save files that can go back. I don't have to remember where I am or anything like that. It's very engaging for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've always enjoyed kind of like puzzle games of like the newer stuff, Breath of the Wild, I really love as a child. Like, I had like a Game Boy. I had like Super Mario Islands or something 3, Super
Right.
Mario Brothers 3, or the Game Boy, whichever one was for the Game Boy. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't tell you. And like the Barbie Genie
Yes.
game that there was, which is literally the entire thing was puzzles. And
I love
it's
that
like
shit.
I always loved those. I'm not good with platforming games. I really enjoy Chibi Robot, but it's like I am not good with platformer games. So like I enjoy puzzle games. I like being able to exercise my mind in different ways.
Right. I obviously love video games. How much
You
is a yes? I
impossible.
fucking love. I love video games. I fucking love it. Why do I love video games? Hmm. I will say it does engage parts of my brain that I absolutely love, and also who I prefer. I love video games when they take you into like another world and opens up
Yeah.
your imagination. That's my thing. Like I love it. I grew up in a what was it? Nowhere town in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, exactly. I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and we couldn't really do much of anything. We could hardly even get internet from where we were.
Right.
So, you know, video games was such a good thing to like take myself out, and you didn't need internet for the video games. At this point in my life, right?
Right.
So, I really liked that it could transport you into another world, and like the stories are amazing. Well, some of them were amazing, others not so much. um and I just loved that's I think that's why I got so hooked on video games. And also puzzle games were very engaging. Loved
Mm.
puzzle games
Yeah.
because you couldn't really find shit like that, you know physically.
Reasonably priced in like a
Right.
board game. And if
Exactly.
you did, it had to be multiplayer. It's not like a singular person game.
Right. So they have what is your okay, so this is going back into our history, right? What was the first game you ever played, and when did you play it
Um,
that you can
Specifically a
remember?
video
Mm-hmm.
game. So my mom got me like the old brick, the brick Game Boy,
Oh yeah.
secondhand, and so she would get like the gray cartridges for it, like secondhand, for like
Yeah.
really good
Yeah.
prices and stuff. And I can, um, so like the ones that stick out to me, the like I had a bunch of them. I still have them, but like the
Mm-hmm.
ones I
Same.
remembered clearly is like I know we had Tetris, we had that Super Mario one, with all the little islands. Donkey Kong Country 2, again, all for the Game Boy. Obviously later came like Pokemon Red, Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Crystal, like Barbie Genie or Genie Barbie or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Like those, like we had a bunch of them, but like it had to have been something like Tetris or the Super Mario.
I had Tetris too.
Girl, I was about to say Tetris has made my life as an adult amazing because I can like shove things in places. It's just like, well, it doesn't fit that way. Rotate it.
Right. No, fuck Tetris.
I was about to say Tetris made my life so much easier when I was working at World Market.
Right.
Because we had top stock. We had a lot of top stock. So it's just like, cool. Shove everything up in there, rearrange everything. Cool, I can fit 6 more boxes up here.
Right. So how old are you when you got that?
I don't like elementary school. Pretty early elementary school. Because I ended up in after school care just because my parents were working adults and couldn't come pick us up immediately at 3 o'clock when school ended, so we ended up in after school care. And I remember that from like 3rd grade, like 4th and 5th grade were in one group, and so like kindergarten through 3rd grade were in a different group.
Right.
So it was somewhere between like 1st and 3rd grade.
Okay.
And again, I couldn't tell you exactly, so that probably put me around 6 to 8 years old with my first video game.
Right. I can see that.
Yeah.
My first video game, I believe I was 4 or 5 years old. And I feel like I was 4 because my uncle, who was the nerd, well, my mom was a nerd too, but like my uncle was a video game nerd. He grew up to be a computer science, person. That's what he studied in school. So he was a nerd. And he and my dad pulled together money and bought the classic Nintendo and a Super Nintendo. So, yeah, so I had the classic Nintendo. And I remember I was like 4 years old or so.
Yeah. And
I didn't like the graphics in the classic Nintendo. They were just blocky and weird and stuff. And we had like the baseball game. And it's funny? There are some games on the Switch now that you can play from the classic Nintendo.
I saw you playing on that earlier this morning.
Yeah.
But I can't say anything because I was grinding in Splatoon for a little bit this morning too, so.
No, you're fine. I was just like, I looked back at the games and I was like, I remember the baseball game. I remember some of the sports games that they had for the classic Nintendo. And I was okay with it. I was like, it was fine, whatever. But the Super Nintendo, I remember vividly on the Super Nintendo. Again, I think it was like 4 or 5. I played 2 games. That was Super Mario World, that, me and my sister, we still reminisce about. And Mortal Kombat. And Mortal Kombat was the game I only got to play that game with my dad.
Oh.
And we didn't realize it was violent or whatever, because my kid brain didn't recognize that as violence or whatever. And my dad thought, yeah, we're going to kick her butt. I need to win. And he eventually did. But then I started playing. What was those? It wasn't Sub-Zero. I do think it was Scorpion. Because I do think it was Scorpion.
Is that the one that like shoots a
yes,
out and says get over? That's Scorpion.
No, I was like, I do know it's Scorpion, but I loved him. And I started kicking my dad's ass. And I remember vividly, there was one time I kept doing, when you pin them to the sides of the screen where they can't move anymore and then you just keep hitting them. My dad got so frustrated. He literally was like, all right, you win. Set the control down and walked away. And I was like, yes. I was so proud. But playing now and people do the same thing for me. I'm like, okay, I can understand why he had to get up and walk
Yeah.
away because I'm just like, it's not fair. It's not fair. It is not
Right.
fair. But those are
We
my two
didn't.
games. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was like, those are the two games that I have. I mean, of course, throughout my life, I've played, um, what was it? FIFA 96 or something like 95, 96. And Lara Croft's Tomb Raider when I went to visit my uncle and I played on his computer. And he had those games on his computer. And I sucked at FIFA. I don't like sports games. But I did like Lara Croft's Tomb Raider, except there's like some skeletons that come to life, And it scared me. And I was like, I don't want to play this. I just want to go swimming in the pool. So he put me on a tutorial stage where I can just swim in her pool. And I was like, I'm okay with that. And I'd spend hours just doing that shit.
I remembered something from when I was younger because we had a computer with like Windows 95 or 93.
Yep.
And my dad had Doom with like the Joy-Con, like joystick.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad would let me play Doom with him. And I know I was like 6 years old. Like I was like 4 or 5 years old. Dad was letting me play with it.
Mm-hmm.
But like we didn't really have any like communal consoles, like family consoles like that.
Yeah.
Like I had the bricks, Darcy had the Pocket, and so they were systems for us to use as like we would travel a lot, so things we could use in the car.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
My cousins, so my maternal cousins had like, was it Nintendo 64? Is that the one with the weirdest controller ever?
That is a Nintendo 64. Yep.
And then I think one of my cousins on my fraternal side had a PlayStation 1. And I'm pretty sure it was a PlayStation 1 because it had like not really Mortal Kombat, but like Capcom versus Marvel, whatever.
Yes,
it,
yes,
like
yes,
it had like the Ninja Turtle one.
Right.
So it's like that's what I remember. So I don't know how old I was for my fraternal cousin playing that with him, but I kind of remember like being about the same age as when I got my first like Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Being about the same age playing with them with that. I hated playing with them because they're like so good. They were always so good at everything.
Yeah.
They would kick our ass and be super mean to us in Mario Kart.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's not like they live down the road or anything. We'd see them all the time. It's like we got to see them like once or twice a month. Assholes.
How dare they?
How dare they?
My cousins also had the Nintendo 64. Yeah. So I got to watch them play, and I thought it was the coolest thing. My parents didn't want me to have any video game consoles. Like, they just did not want me to have them. They were like, you go outside and you go play and do all this stuff. But what was interesting was because of my uncle, he had a computer. Mm-hmm. They eventually got a computer. And I got to put games on my computer. They didn't know how to navigate the internet. It was like, by this point, like the internet was such a brand new thing for us. So they only wanted to try and navigate the internet and stuff like that. But they were like, it's okay if you play computer games, right? So I started playing just a bunch of computer games, like Nancy Drew games, which I still play to this day. So I was just like, okay, we'll just, play computer games. It's fine. And then we had I also had a Game Boy Pocket. I didn't have the brick, but I had a Game Boy Pocket and the Game Boy Color. We couldn't afford the Game Boy Advance, but I did get the SP, the Game Boy Advance SP. Mm-hmm. And all of that. So that was pretty much my video game experience Most of
Yeah.
it was like handheld games because my parents didn't want me to have a console. And I didn't have one until I bought a used PlayStation 2. So by this point, I haven't played any of like the good PlayStation 1 original games. I played the PlayStation 2 games. And I played Final Fantasy because all of my friends had either a GameCube or a PlayStation 2, right? So it was either Animal Crossing or what was it? Jak and Daxter.
Mm-hmm.
I played Final Fantasy for the first time and I loved it. And Kingdom Hearts. And I was so proud of myself because I bought this with my money, like that I saved and stuff. And we're like, I'll buy a used console. My sister wasn't big on the whole PlayStation gaming, you know? She was okay with just her computer gaming or actually going out and having a social life.
Like
But
a
not
weirdo.
me. Yeah, so PlayStation was my very first console. For
Yeah.
real. Like for my personal, well, I guess unless you consider the handheld Nintendo's a console, then yeah, we'll go with that.
I wouldn't
But
really call them a console. I think the first like quote unquote handheld console maybe was it the PSP or whatever, or
yeah, it's
even the
PSP.
Switch.
No, it's
I wouldn't really.
PSP. PSP
Yeah.
and PS Vita were ahead of their time. It was
Yeah.
genius. I had both the PSP and the PS Vita ahead of their time. Absolute genius. And then the Switch and it bugged me because PlayStation didn't market it well. It didn't provide like really good games for it other than like old games you could play from like the PlayStation, you could play on your PS Vita and stuff, right? So they didn't market it well. And then here comes the Switch. And I'm like, first of all, what was it? Vita, PSP and PS Vita walked so that the Switch could run. That's what I
I
genuinely
mean,
believe.
let's okay. What caused the Switch to run was the Wii U.
Well, yes, but as a handheld console thing, PS PSP and PS Vita were the first. I'm gonna say that. The Switch is better. No, no, I won't say that. I still think that
That's
the PS Vita is
bold
good.
of you, who is obsessed with Splatoon right now.
Well, yeah, but I have a PS Vita. I know it could do so much more, and yet the Switch is the ones. Nintendo are the ones who push the boundaries. Sony has yet to do that. Sony
Yeah.
plays it safe, and that's what I. Oh, that's what gets me. My goodness. But yeah, all I use my Vita now for is like old PlayStation 2 games and what else do you call it? Otome games. That's all I use my PlayStation Vita for. And I know it could do much better. If it pushed the boundaries like Nintendo does, then it would have. But Sony plays it safe. I genuinely think Sony just plays it safe.
I mean, fair, because like how many like reiterations of games that they have that it's just like cool, like are you gonna release something different?
Yeah.
Ever?
I mean, I will stop you there. They do have some good games, but a lot of it is not really children focused. They're focused for adults.
I will agree that like PlayStation is more for the adults, like Xbox is kind of that middle ground between adults and children, and Nintendo is like not necessarily
It's garnered
kids,
for
but
kids.
it's the
Yeah,
family it's
it is the family console. Yeah,
right. I'm not gonna say that it's exclusively for kids or exclusively for adults. That it is
right.
the most ideal for family.
I still have the starting soon screen. My bad.
My first console wasn't even really my first. Girl, damn it.
It is what
Come
it
on.
is.
My first console wasn't really my console. My sister ended up buying an Xbox with probably about 10 or so games off of friends
Oh
of
yeah.
hers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like an original Xbox, Halo. We had she got Mortal Kombat Armageddon for it. Sims Herbs, the Z.
Oh my
uh,
gosh.
which I really enjoyed. I'm like, I don't know why I enjoyed this, but I really enjoy it.
Hi, Monty.
What's up, Monty? Um, and then I, like you, I had the brick. I didn't get the pocket. My sister had the pocket. I got a Game Boy Color, which was the see-through purple, the sexiest of them all.
Yep.
Like I had like my parents got it for me for my birthday. I had the entire attachments, like the expanded chart, like rechargeable battery pack, expanded battery pack that was a handheld, the button risers, I guess, that you had to snap on and make the buttons bigger for you. It had like a magnifying glass that you'd attach on top that you could stretch out and make the screen bigger. That was also a light. My parents got me the whole setup for it. There was, I didn't, like you, didn't get the Game Boy Advance. My cousins did get a Game Boy Advance, but they're different. I got a Game Boy Advanced SP that I bought with my own money. I had a little mini side job and I saved up for my first game, which I bought used, and it has the classic Nintendo system look to it.
Nice.
Classic. So it's like $75. I remember exactly how much it was.
Wow, yeah.
It was in near perfect condition, used, and I'm like, I want it. It was the same price as everything else. So I was like, I want it.
It's funny to think how cheap it was back then compared to how much it is now.
Right?
Just a simple like handheld Switch or something. It's upwards $300. Like that's insane to me.
Well, like there's more technology going into the Switch though. Like the memory is stored onto the Switch itself instead of the game itself.
Right, but at the same time, at the time, from that period, that was revolutionary, you know. That's why I'm like, it was still so cheap back then, but like it would still blow my fucking mind, because you could play, especially for the Game Boy Advance. I remember there were some Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance, I should say. There were some Super Nintendo games you could buy for both the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance. And I was like, this is amazing. And you could play all your old Game Boy games on there. Because remember, like the black and white ones, I played on my SP. All of my Game Boy Color games, I played on my SP. And then you also had
I get that because I did the same thing. But I say most of them because I had Kirby Tilt and Tumble, and because you're plugging it in at the bottom instead of the top, your controls are inverted.
Oh. I mean, I was like, I played all of mine. I didn't have that one, but I was like, I played all of mine, and it was fantastic. So you could play older games on your Game Boy SPs. And then, what was it? The DS came out. Was it the? Yeah, it was the DS.
Yeah, it was the DS next, which I didn't get. My sister had like the tank, like the original one. Which I'm pretty sure she also got off a friend. Like her friends gave her a lot of shit.
I was about to say, I didn't get that one. I got the following version.
What was it? It was the DS Lite.
DSi.
And then
yeah.
Then the 3DS. So I didn't get the first 3 generations of the DS. As a gift, a Christmas present from, at the time, boyfriend's family, which is now my husband, they got me a brand new 3DS. And then when the new 3DS XL came out, I got that for myself. And thanks to Monty, I actually have a very nice Legend of Zelda case for it.
Nice.
Or specifically a shell, not a case for it to like be stored in, but a shell.
So, let me ask you this then. What was your all-time favorite game? What's your all-time favorite? And I know it's hard because I can't pick just one. So, if you can't just pick one.
Through each generation that we had, and kind of pick out one because each one's
No,
kind
no,
of
no, no, no,
unique.
no. That's too much. You need to have. We have to whittle it down. What is one? I'll say top three. We'll just do that. Top three favorite games of all time.
Can Pokemon just count as a genre, please?
Which Pokemon game? You can't just love all of them. You have to pick them. There were so many different
Okay,
choices.
but I didn't get to play all of them. I played up until Crystal, and then I
Well, then
picked
there you
up
go.
back
Pick
up
up
at
to
X and Y.
then pick only the games that you've played. I'm gonna be that harsh. I'm gonna be that bitch.
You are gonna be that bitch. Um, hmm. I can't choose.
Not top
I like
three.
you. No, not no top three. I don't. I never got to play a bunch of games. I was very because I didn't grow up like my family grew up broke. We weren't poor. We just
Mm-hmm.
mom had like school bills and stuff like that, student loans and stuff, and dad's jobs weren't always the greatest. So like we broke. I grew up broke. So the
Same.
games that I had, even as an adult, I don't just like, oh, do I want it? Do I not want it? I'm just gonna get it. I'm like, no, I have to know I want a game to play it, or I'm
Yep.
not gonna spend
Mm-hmm.
my money on it.
Same.
So each of the games I have and still possess, even all the way back to the Game Boy games, I I wouldn't have them if I didn't enjoy them.
Right. Well, I'm the same. I grew up. I actually did grow up broke.
Right.
We were poor, but we were like,
And for those that understand, it's like there's a big difference between poor and broke. It's like we had the money was just always in debt.
yes, there
Going
we
back to
go.
debts.
Yeah, that's us. That was me. So that's why I'm like, most of the stuff that I bought with my money. So I had a, but I still could pick favorites. I still can for this, can pick favorites. That would be my first favorite game. And I like, don't judge me, but I do like Kingdom
I'm gonna
Hearts.
judge you anyway.
I love Kingdom Hearts. I would
Okay.
say the second one was more my favorite because it had more Final Fantasy characters that I love in Kingdom Hearts 2. And I loved the graphics in Kingdom Hearts 2. It blew my mind, and I played it on my PlayStation 2 that I loved so much. So that one to me, I can definitely say Kingdom Hearts 2 was my favorite.
I'm not surprised. Like you are a fan of the series itself. You have played more than one Kingdom Hearts game, and like anyone that
Yes,
I've heard that is invested in the storyline,
it's me.
they like Kingdom Hearts in whole or each individual game has a special place in their heart.
Yeah. And of course, it had Disney characters, and I love Disney. So Kingdom Hearts is definitely, or Kingdom Hearts 2, if we're going to break it down. Kingdom Hearts 2 is my favorite out of all of them. And it's one of the ones that I played over and over and over again because, man, I love it. I love it so much. And then I also love Nancy Drew games. But like just like you, I can't pick one. So I'll skip that one. As a
That's a
series,
computer
I'll say
game.
yeah, that's a
Most of
computer
them are
game. It's a
computer
puzzle game.
games.
So I'll skip the Nancy Drew. I'll say what your favorite series is. Well, we'll do that'll be easier. But
Okay.
skipping that, I will go to The Legend of Zelda. What was it? A Link to the Past. That's another game I played over and over again. And I had A Link to the Past. It was normally for the Super Nintendo, and I never played it on the Super Nintendo. I actually played it on my Game Boy SP. That was the game that I played so much as well. And I liked the story. I thought it was the coolest thing. And like, I loved the dungeons. I loved all of that. It was so, so fun. And then my third pick, and you can tell by these, my genres go everywhere from
Yeah.
the games that I've listed. I have different genres of games that I like. And my third personal favorite, like I'm thinking of the games that I know I've played over and over again and I've bought over and over again throughout the years. And that will be Final Fantasy X, because it was my very first like Final Fantasy game.
Which one is
And
that?
that's the one with Titus or Titus, and then he goes ha 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 ha
Oh,
ha.
that.
That-
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Listen,
I never would have guessed which one that was. Thank you. I'm gonna clip that later.
Yeah, you can. Notorious laugh scene. Okay, so I love Final Fantasy X, and it was my very first Final Fantasy game. Because I watched my best friend at the time. She had a PlayStation 2, and I watched her play it, and I thought the story was amazing. And I felt like an adult when playing it because, you know, you're dealing with death and dying and all of this stuff, and like your souls, you know, they have to travel forward, or else they become fiends and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, they never played this, like they never showed us like shit like this when we were kids. I was watching SpongeBob, you know, they never did this in SpongeBob. So I was like, yeah, this game is edgy and cool and whatever. And it's one of those games I bought for the PlayStation 3 because, you know, they did the remastered, and I rebought it for the PlayStation 3 or 4. No, it was 3. I bought it for the PlayStation 3 with all its remastered glory, and it had 10-2, which I also played because I bought 10 and I bought 10-2 separately from my PlayStation 2, right? And I played 10-2 first because I thought it was like because it had a bunch of female characters, right? The main characters are female. And I was like, girl power. So I played that first. And then I was like, I had to stop because I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. So I played 10, you know, I stopped there, played 10 throughout, and then continued playing 10-2. So, yeah, it was fun.
So they should have spelled it out that it was 10-2, the sequel.
Yeah, well, I mean, technically I knew it was a sequel, but I was like, I still like these girls. I'm gonna play it anyway.
That's fair.
Yeah, so it wasn't that I was dumb. I knew it. I just chose to ignore that. I chose
like you
to
normally
ignore it.
do with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I choose to ignore it. I'm like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. If I want to play this game, I'm gonna do it. So that was me. And so yeah, those are my top 3 games because those are the games I know for a fact I could replay over and over again and just still fall in love with it like I did the first time. And man, Final Fantasy, man, fucking love it. But those are the games, and like I just like you was absolutely broke. So most of the games that my parents bought were my handheld games, you know, or we found them used, or we got them from my cousins. Because that's another thing. We would switch games between my cousins and I. We would always share games between my cousins and I. So, because we were both
my cousins
broke.
didn't. We weren't on the best terms as kids.
Right. See, I had, thankfully, I had like my cousins are my family friends. I just call them my cousins because we grew up together. But my family friends, my cousins, we would just honestly swap games because we were both broke. Our families were broke. Remember, we're immigrants. So came to the country, broke as hell. But we kept switching games together. So that's why our collections grew and grew and grew. So, yeah. Things us broke kids can understand having to play the same games over. Yep. You're absolutely right. Yep. You are absolutely right. And it was still such a treat. It was such a treat until we both until we grew up and we could make that money as like a 15 or 16-year-olds, you know, we could make and get our first job, and we would blow through our money on food and video games.
You know, classic teenage shit.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so fun. I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. I really wouldn't. So those are like my top 3 for sure.
I was about to say, one thing that really stuck out to me that I played over and over and over again, it was a computer game. And I can't really say if it's my top 3 or not, but it was accessible and it wasn't like, it was easy to complete and all that stuff, was Age of Empire.
Oh, yeah.
Computer. Mm-hmm. So we had like Windows, I guess XP 97 or something. I don't know what computer that was. It was definitely past 95 at that point.
Right.
So we had a couple of games: Darkened Sky, Battle Realms. Darcy had Nancy Drew.
It's true. I love Nancy Drew games.
But Dad had Age of Empire. Me and Dad could just like sit there and grind out like game after game after game of Age of Empire. We just loved it. So it was kind of like strategy, puzzly, super fun game to us, and it kind of pisses me off like all these like cheap knockoffs that I get ads for on, like
Yes.
for your phone. I'm just like, you hoes, y'all have just absolutely ripped. Like, was it Age of Gods or whatever that they are? I'm
Yes.
just like,
Oh
you
my gosh.
cheap ass hoes have completely ripped off Age of
Cheap
Empires. I'm so mad.
assholes.
They be cheap ass hoes.
Right.
I'm not spending my time. I ain't studying them. Get your ads off my games.
So, did you ever get educational games? Like computer games? Because like,
well,
would this be okay? So let me ask you this: would this be considered a computer game if you played the Jumpstart games or third grade adventures, fourth grade adventure? Do you remember that?
I wouldn't really say yes.
I mean, technically they are games, but they're educational.
They are games, but they are like it's not easily accessible for you to have them at home.
Math Blaster. Sense. I had Word Munchers.
Bruh, Math Blasters. Would you say Mavis Beacon is like a game? It's
what
education
the heck is a...
with.
Hold up.
Yes.
I'm looking this up.
Oh,
Mavis Beacon.
Yes.
Well, okay. Yeah, the typing one. So, you know, I can't say, because if that's true, if those are like educational games, would Nancy Drew be considered educational? Because you are learning history.
I mean, you are learning in a passive manner, but it's not an active thing. Like Math Blaster, that is very, very obviously.
Right. I sucked at math, so I hated any of the math games, but I loved like Word Muncher or word games because I could do word stuff more.
I hated word games. Word games were some of the worst for me.
See, that's the difference between you and I, for sure. Because like I loved word games, I hated math games, hated them. Oh man.
So but I don't really remember being able to play those often enough in elementary school. For me, I believe they were introduced in like 2nd or 3rd grade. But like I remember not being able to like get on and like play those games because I would play Math Blaster all day if I could. I would play any of those. So like I clearly remember not learning how to type.
Oh yeah.
Because they wouldn't let like I didn't do well in class, so I didn't get computer time. I'm like, cool, how am I supposed to learn how to type?
Right.
We don't have typing classes anymore.
First off, can I just say that my Theo tried to teach me how to type because he knew my Theo tried to teach me how to type because he knew I loved Mario, the Mario Bros. So
is this the computer engineer one or is this?
This is my computer engineer, and he thought, and he knew, you know, computers were going to rule the world. So he wanted to teach his little nieces how to type. And I sucked at typing because my fingers hurt. And I was like, if they make my fingers hurt, I don't want to do it. My sister, on the other hand, can type really quickly. But I was like, I don't want to do it. He bought me, or he didn't buy me. He downloaded, essentially. I think he had like a piece, like a free CD or something of Mario Teaches Typing. And it was a typing game veiled as like a Mario game, and you had to make Mario move by typing. If you look that up right now, Mario Teaches Typing, that, because I looked it up seriously like very, very, very recently, maybe in the past, like since January, I think. I looked it up because I was talking to my sister about it, right? So when you look it up, that shit looks like it was coughed up from hell itself. But I played it a little bit because there's like mods you could do, emulators you could play online of Mario Teaches Typing. So I did it, and I was like, this is what I did as a kid. But I didn't do it because like it was so hard, and I couldn't even know the basics of like hand placements or anything like that. And I was just like, well, and he wanted me to do that. Oh my gosh, that's Mario teacher. So that was my teaching, my typing game was Mario teaches typing. Oh my gosh. So okay, so I'm looking at this computer company because I remember this computer company. I know we're talking video games, but bear with me. So the Learning Company was this computer company that made Rita Rabbit, Word Munchers, all of that. Oregon Trail and Carmen San Diego, which I also had. Carmen San Diego. Did you do you think Oregon Trail is an educational game? A learning game? Or do you think that's a video game?
From what I remember of it, I would say that it's more of a video game than an education game because I don't really remember learning anything from it.
Well, technically, it does teach you about buying supplies and going out and learning what plants you can and can't eat. You know, how to cock the wagon when fronting forward to a river. Do y'all remember dysentery? Yeah, exactly. You know what dysentery was. You know, all these different
I guess because I tried playing it when I was too young, because I was trying to play it like
yeah.
3rd grade or something, that it's just like, cool, like, I literally have no idea what I'm doing.
Right. Still, I'm like,
and I feel like
would
Oregon
that be
Trail
considered?
should probably be 5th grade and above.
Well, that's the thing. We played Oregon Trail in our class when we had computer day. Computer day was the best day. So we had Oregon Trail. And none of us could finish the game because, you know, you can't play for very long. But it was considered educational, you know, because it did have like a rich piece of history to play that game. So I was like, was it considered educational or a video game? Because now when you talk about it, everyone has played Oregon Trail. Any of the Oregon Trails. So that's why I'm like, Oregon Trail. Did you ever play its cousin game called the Amazon Trail?
Actually, I never heard of it.
Oh, let me tell you something.
Like, so my elementary school was like ahead of its time. It was a magnet school. It was very progressive with like its teachings and its philosophies and things like that. And we got computers. We had Math Blaster, Oregon Trail, all that stuff on the computers. And then I moved up to middle school, and it was an alternative school, so you get kicked out from one of the other schools or not really allowed to go to one of the other schools. You had to go there. So
yeah.
it was a problem child school. We didn't get computer classes or anything like that. We weren't really encouraged to be on the computers or anything like that. Well, they were there. I remember them in all the classrooms, but that was it. They didn't let us do anything. And then in high school, they had a computer room that I think 6th grade or 8th grade, like one of the middle school grades, had computer classes in there, but we weren't really allowed to be on the computers and play on the computers.
Oh, okay.
So, like, whenever Amazon Trail showed up, I'm like, I would not have known about it.
Well, first of all, yes, you would. Because I never got Amazon Trail. Because, again, when I went through elementary school, I was in a private school up until 8th grade, right? But that's not why I brought it up. I brought it up because there were 4 games, all from, I think, the Learning Company and then some other games, because Clue was a part of it. They used to sell video games, or computer games, excuse me, mostly computer games, in cereal boxes. Do y'all remember that? And
the
Amazon
only
Trail.
Computer games we got was Monopoly and Treasure Planet from cereal boxes.
Oh my God. Do you remember though? They put video games in cereal boxes. Like,
they did.
And I remember I had Monopoly. It was a computer game from a cereal box.
Monopoly too.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep. They had Monopoly. They had Clue, which I played and I loved. And like Now they have a Cluedo or whatever, but that's not classic Clue. I'm talking about the classic Clue game from a cereal box and Amazon Trail from a cereal box. And I was just like, does anyone remember having video games in cereal boxes? Because I did, and I also got the Atlantis game from a cereal box, which was like when they got the journal. I got that from a cereal box.
I didn't know about Atlantis. I don't think I knew about Atlantis having a game.
I didn't know that Treasure Planet. See, I didn't know Treasure Planet had a game.
And it was kind of just like a demo, honestly.
Yes.
For the real game. So
right.
A lot of these were just demos for like a bigger expansion.
But the Clue game that I got was not a demo. Neither was Amazon Trail. Neither was Monopoly. That was not a demo. That was like a full fucking game in a cereal box.
The Monopoly game was a full-on game.
It was awesome.
Admittedly, though, there isn't a whole lot of things for Monopoly or Clue or anything like that. Unlike a full story-driven game like Treasure Planet.
True. Like my Atlantis game was definitely a trial version or demo. Yeah. So okay.
And that annoyed me so bad. Like,
oh yeah.
We can't get this.
Right.
My mom has already spent the money to get the cereal so I could have the game, and she's not gonna go spend how much were like computer games back then? $20+?
Not even.
$30?
Yeah, it was like 20 something at most. I remember we got a lot of ours on sale. So
I remember some games being like super expensive, but they were like big games too. Like even I like would recognize that they were big games.
It was like World of Warcraft. We couldn't do that. We're like, nah, no World of Warcraft for you. Yeah, it was nothing like that. So, but I just remember that being a thing. And now thinking about it, if that happened on this day, I don't think, like, it's impossible. Like, oh, if you buy the cereal, we'll give you a download code for this indie game or something like that. Because we're generating so many video games right now, like currently, that I don't know if it can ever keep up, especially for like a computer learning game for kids, you know?
Yeah.
Because like, it was like, I remember exactly. I got one of those computer games from, what is it called? Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah.
I hated Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but I suffered and I ate the cereal for the game because my mom's like, if you buy this, you're going to eat the cereal, right? Because I'm not going to get it for you. And I'm just like, man, oh my God, thank you, Monty. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So Monty sent me a photo of Chex Quest.
Oh my God. Send it to me. Why wasn't it sent to me? I'm insulted.
Oh my God, I'm crying. That is amazing. That is so 90s. That is so 90s, and I love it. Oh my gosh. So, yeah.
I remember that now.
What is gonna do?
Yeah. I remember that.
It unlocks memories. I'm sorry. I'm peeking. Hold up. I'm laughing so hard. Oh my gosh. So, but those, would you consider those
wrapped?
Yeah.
It looks like it's still wrapped.
Listen, let's see how much it is worth and then sell it for the nostalgia. Maybe it'll make money. Just saying. Maybe there's other people who remember Chex Quest. Oh,
I didn't play it, but I remember seeing it.
Right. I'm just like, I can't believe that was such a thing. And you know, you can't ever get away with that now. Like, that's impossible. And like, it's sad because like, could you imagine if video game companies and cereal companies work together again to have like, hey, have a free code and do this and all of that? Damn. That would have been cool. We didn't have a PC at the time, so it stayed wrapped in a box until recently. Don't sell it. See if anyone remembers what that is. But I'm glad that was a huge thing. Modern day people, like they don't know how to market their games anymore.
They don't.
Yeah. Like you could even do, I know I'm talking, you know, it's just randomly, but Fortnite is free, right? And so is Apex Legends and shit. You could be like, oh, buy this, eat the cereal and get the download code for these special skins or whatever. And I'm pretty sure kids will be like, yeah, mom, I want the cereal skin
Yeah.
of my favorite
Instead
cereal.
of like you're at least getting a product out of it, even if it's like a temporary
Exactly.
product like food. Because I'm one of those people. I'm like, I'm not really gonna go out of my way to just get like a DLC for one thing. I'm not paying
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Now, Breath of the Wild, me and my husband did buy the DLC for it because it was a season pass. We were gonna get 3 DLCs for it, master mode, all that stuff. So it we were getting more of the game, not
Right.
just a thing. But I agree with you. I think it would be a really smart marketing strategy, really, to do that because parents would be more willing to buy it.
Yeah. Well, parents will, first of all, parents will be more willing to buy it because we are the parents now.
Yes,
you
we
know,
are.
and we remember that shit. So having our kids get excited just like we did when we were kids, will be more incentive to be like, oh my God, they're doing this again. We need to do this. Like, we need to get this, um, for our kid, especially because we were those kids. And our kids deserve to have cereal box downloadable codes or whatever. You know what I mean?
Like, when was the last time you saw a prize in a box?
That's true.
Like, for
Wait,
real, like
Cracker
of
Jacks
any
still
kind.
do. Yes, Cracker Jacks still do that, and Kinder toys are still a thing because we eat
Okay,
Kinder
but that's
eggs.
like classic though.
Yeah,
They're
still,
expected
still,
to have that.
yeah, but it was also a classic thing for cereal boxes to have prizes.
Okay, we were doing questions. Are we gonna get back to the questions? Or are
Yeah,
we just
sorry, I
completely-
am. I was just talking about cereal box video games because I don't know if anyone else remembered that kind of shit. All right, hold
do.
up. Sorry, I had a burp. Let's see. Oh, here's a good question. Did video games help develop certain skills? Do video games help develop skills for you?
I think it, like people are always like hand-eye coordination. Like, not really for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, it does help that, but it helps something more than that. And I'm gonna use Splatoon as an example.
Yeah.
At the call center, I had a screen where I had to pay attention to like a minimum of 6 different items regularly while talking to someone on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to constantly move my eyes around. But the reason I was able to adjust to that very quickly, because it doesn't matter if you're coming from one call center to another call center, it's like you're still going to have a learning curve because it's a different program.
Right.
I was able to adjust quickly because of playing games like Splatoon, where I'm having to put like process and focus on and like understand that something has happened not only in the foreground of Splatoon but in the background as well, that I need to be mindful of. I have to be aware of my surroundings in a two-dimensional sense.
Right.
And it also lets me, there are certain games that I can't even consider playing, like Overwatch. There's just way too much going on. There's no way for me to get past that point and get to like a quote-unquote zen mode, to where I can process things and not get overwhelmed with all the noise or all the visuals.
Oh, yeah.
So unfortunately, Overwatch will never happen for me. But it's easier for me to process, and I can get into a flow, a zone that I can work very efficiently.
Mm-hmm. Sorry,
What about
you?
Are you eating? You
No, I was
choking?
typing.
Don't die on me.
No, I was typing the chat. So my thing is this. I used hand-eye coordination because I did sports as a kid because, again, I had ADHD and my parents were like, you have too much energy, use it in sports. So I played a lot of sports as a kid. So my hand-eye coordination was fine by playing sports, you know? But something that video games did teach me, and this is what I thought was very important. From all the puzzle games that I've played, because I loved puzzle games more than anything. And like we're speaking about cereal box games, Clue was a good one. I learned critical thinking. Like I learned critical thinking from video games. I learned that even when they develop a character, and this is what's so funny. When I developed, like when you're playing a very good RPG, if there's a character who's going to betray you, like the way that they speak, like they're, you're like, I don't trust this character. I think this character is going to do like backstab me in the end.
Yep.
I'm just like, it helped to better, because again, I wasn't a very social kid. Like I was too shy, right? So it helped me to like, I had critical thinking. It helped me to be like, okay, so there are these kind of characters, story driven characters. And I was just like, oh, and also helped me to read fast. Because I was reading along with the subtitles, and I always played subtitles. And it actually helped me to read quickly with subtitles. So there are certain skills that I actually did develop. And one of them was like puzzle games. I can do puzzles. I feel like I'm very smart in doing so.
Until you have a dumb, but then you'll overcome the dumb and have a smart.
Yeah, it's like so I can be stupid because I'm not really aware of everything around me,
Yeah,
because I get so focused.
Or like not fully pay attention.
Right. So I was like focused on trying to solve this puzzle that everything around me I block everything around me so I can focus on a puzzle. But once I do it, I'm like, yes, I'm smart. What next? What was I supposed to do next? And there's the dumb. But like, it's that kind of thing for me. But I know I'm not stupid. Like, I know I'm not stupid.
No, you're not. We all have dumb moments.
Yeah. So I'm just like,
advertise yours more because you stream.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. But like I did learn how to critical think. I learned more because of word munchers. I learned how to better write and read. Let's see. Like I learned so much more of the and like it's funny because like all the educational games really did help me. Except I can't strategize. Yeah. I can't do like Age of Empires or anything like that because you got to strategize how to do this. I can't do that. I cannot strategize for the life of me.
And that's I feel like it's now been classified all under as ADHD, so it's it's attention deficit hyperactive or hyper
focus
attentive disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have the hyperactive, I have the hyperattentive. So Age of Empire, the fact that it's like, oh, you need to do this, and you got to pay attention to this. You also need to be mindful of this. That works for me. Like, I can, in a slew of things are coming at me so quickly that I can weirdly process everything faster that way.
Yes.
I can't explain it, but I know other people with the classic ADD versus the classic ADHD understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, hold up. See, for me, it was like, that's why I can't do like a bunch of first person shooters because that's what you have to do. You have to be aware of everything. You have to be like, where's my team? Where'd it go? This. And for me, sometimes I'm just like, I want to do my own thing and I want to go get shot. But then they start screaming in your ear, and all that. So it's so hard sometimes for me to play first person. Splatoon is different. Splatoon is, especially if we're doing like turf wars, we all have a common goal. We get to that goal and we try and maintain that goal as a team.
And it's usually a smaller field. Like some of the maps are larger than others and more detailed and stuff like that. But I feel those are smaller maps than what most first-person shooter maps are.
Yes. So that was easier for me to kind of do. And that's why I'm like, Splatoon, I love Splatoon. I really, really do. And, but yeah, that I'm like, those are the skills that I know I've developed because of video games. And I still play puzzle games. I don't want my brain to like decay into nothing and I can't solve a puzzle. That's why I also love escape room games. You know, like, have you ever been to an escape room?
Never been to escape room.
You've never?
I don't think there were really any close to me until fairly recently.
Right,
And then it's just
yes.
like, oh, cool, escape rooms. Gotta
But
save up
now
for
it's
that
no,
quarantine.
yep, yeah, that's exactly right. Well, when everything blows over, you would have to do an escape room. It is so fun. I quite
We
enjoy
need
it.
to do an escape room. I bet we would
Well,
like.
yeah, as a team, we have to do it as a team.
Yes.
And like it is just like a puzzle game in real life, and I love that
Yes.
shit. I am all about that shit. So
So,
next
like,
time
I'm
we'll do
aware of
that.
the concept of like escape rooms and stuff. I've seen some themes for it, but I'm like, I want to go. I want to go to one very, very bad.
So here's another one. What is a game that you personally are very excited for to come out?
I got two. That
Talk
I'm
about
like,
them.
maybe three. So, like, obviously, first and foremost, the one that we have a confirmation year for is Splatoon 3.
Yep.
I'm so fucking excited for that one. The second one that was announced like last year, no, 2019, was Breath of the Wild 2. It was announced that it was in production,
Oh yeah.
but we still haven't gotten a year release for it yet. So I'm very excited for that. But also the newest thing coming out, Pokemon Snap.
Oh yes.
I never really got to play as a kid, so I'm very excited
Same.
about it now.
Yeah. So I remember Pokemon Snap being a big thing, but none of my so it was for the Nintendo 64. I never played the Pokemon Snap game because my cousin never played it and we never had a Nintendo 64. So I never played it. But I've seen people talk about it. All my friends in school talked about it. Everyone was like, "You got to see this picture and come over to my house so you can see all the cool pictures I took of my Pokemon." I was like, "I want to do that, but I don't have it." And it was like, "Do you remember Hey You Pikachu?" That game? Yeah.
Yes,
That was Hey You
vaguely.
everyone also talked about Hey You Pikachu. And I was like, I
Again,
never had that.
those were games that my cousins had and played. So
Exactly.
it's like we played like more Mario Kart than
Yeah.
anything, but like they had Pokemon Snap and it just like, I can't wait. I can't wait to be an adult and play and buy my own games. But it looks like Nauseum in our chat seems to be very excited about
I saw
this
that.
Mist
Yeah.
VR.
Yes, there's the Myst game that I love and adore has now
Yes.
become a VR experience. And
Very nice.
yeah, so I don't know. See, this is the thing. I don't know if I want to play it in VR, but I also know because I just played it last year for my birthday, right? And I was like, I don't know if I want to play Myst VR, but at the same time, I do want to play Myst VR. Like, I really, really do. Because it's Myst. And I love Myst.
Okay, so you don't want to play Myst VR. Are you worried that it's going to be the same storyline and the same puzzles?
No, it is the exact same storyline.
Okay.
It's the first Myst recreated for a VR experience. Now, this is my thing as well. If they do Myst VR and everyone falls in love with it, I hope they continue doing Myst games in general in VR. Just like, you remember The Room? Oh, there's puzzle randomization? Yes. Yes. That changes everything.
Okay, I was about to
That
say,
changes
now
everything.
I think you're excited for
Yes,
it.
that does change everything. But do you remember The Room games that I love so much?
Obviously,
And then they do the Room VR game. I loved the Room VR game. And I want them to make more VR games just like that. But also, VR is such a niche market. Not everyone has VR. Not everyone, could do these games in VR. So, like, as much as I personally would love to, I also know that there are more people buying PlayStation 5s and Xbox, whatever, One X, I think. Isn't that called? Isn't that what it's called? Anyway, other consoles.
whatever the new Xbox.
Right, because VR is still in the beginning stages of making it look amazing, So we're still in the in between stages of Is it worth it? Is it not worth it for VR? So I'm like, meh. But Myst. Okay, that does get me excited though. Wait, right. Question. Games that I'm excited for. Well, I obviously Splatoon 3.
Yes.
And Breath of the Wild. So pretty much most of what you have. So let me back out from that. I am excited to see where they're taking Kingdom Hearts. I'm one of those fans that are like, I've invested so much of my time. I need to see it to the end. So
Confirmation for the next game, because what was the most recent game? 3?
no. So the thing about
Girl,
Kingdom Hearts
I don't
is,
even bother. I can't even keep track of who goes where in that series.
hold up. Let me see if I can. So
While you
there
look that
are
up- Okay.
there are, let's see.
8 games?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's 10 games actually. There's 10
Okay.
games of Kingdom Hearts.
Hey, I got close for someone who's never played one.
Oh, actually 11 games, because they just released a rhythm game. And the reason why they're all important is because they're all canon. They all hold a piece of the main story. So that means you have to play all of them or watch other people play all of them to get the full concept of the story. So you can't just play Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3. You need to play all the games in between because they hold...
I can't connect to the Wi-Fi network. You might want to check the connection settings in the Google Home app.
Thanks, Google. Anyway, so they hold bits and pieces, like Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which is between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, that held bits and pieces for like who Organization 13 is and all of that stuff. And you see the characters in Kingdom Hearts 3. Like from the Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memory characters, you see again in Kingdom Hearts 3, which I was really excited for. I thought it was awesome. But like, I'm excited to see where they're taking that, if I'm being dead honest. Because I have no idea where they're going anymore. We love... Yes, I mostly yes, because 3 was neat and tidy ending to the Xehanort timeline. Yes, I do think that. I do agree. And I don't know where they're going. I don't think I don't think anyone knows where they're going. Right now, they're just trying to find Sora.
Bless you.
Thank you. So I'm trying to just be like, I hope don't destroy the series. I love the series so much. I don't want it to ever go away. But I also do think that they should end it. Because Sora ain't just a kid anymore.
Should.
Yeah. Oh yes, Monty, you and I both agree on that. Riku and Sora, they belong together. Kairi can't do shit. Kairi ain't shit. I'm just like, I will. Oh my god, no, I have to stop. I will get mad. Okay, I will get mad at the whole Kairi doing things, but she doesn't do anything. She doesn't do anything. She shouldn't even be considered a main character. She doesn't do anything. And you know what happened? Do you want to know what happened during the rhythm game? She's a fucking sleep. She's asleep. And I'm just like, you've been asleep from the majority of those games. Or out, quote unquote, training. Kairi don't do shit. Anyway, sorry. Moving on. Fuck Kairi. Riku and Sora
Let me
forever.
ask you a question.
Oh no.
From the list. And hopefully we'll have enough time. We have 19 minutes. So
Yeah, we got time.
one of the questions from printdiscuss.com under the video games topic. It seems that most video game players are male. Why do boys like video games more than girls do?
I saw that question, and I think that's bullshit. That's
Agreed.
not true. It's not that boys...
Both of us who identify as cisgender women.
Yes, as a cisgendered woman. That's bullshit.
Bullshit.
It's not that boys like them more. It was more of... It was catered to boys more. For example...
And then there's gatekeeping.
Oh, and then there's the gatekeepers. Right. But it was mostly... So this is what was so interesting. Most of the games were catered to the boys. When you see it in old advertisings and everything, most of them in the advertisements were boys playing video games. Girls weren't really supposed to play it. I remembered my parents didn't like me playing it, but they didn't mind my brother playing it, you know. And I always thought that that was bullshit. There were so many girls, because all of my friends throughout school who had like the PlayStation 2 and all of that, they were all female. Like all of us loved video games. But we didn't talk about it because, of course, like you said, there was gatekeeping. There was like, well, no, boys, it's only like this game is a boys' game. You wouldn't like it and all that shit, whatever. And I'm here like, that's BS. Let's see, it says it was not until fairly recently that nerdy culture has become chic. Oh, so it's less that girls were not gamers, but more it was not cool to be a gamer for a long time. So people didn't discuss it. That's true. But growing up, I remember they're like, well, why does girls play video games and whatever? It was because most of it was catered to boys. All the advertisement was catered for the boys, you know, all of that stuff. So, and that's why I call bullshit, because even though it was catered to boys, and I remember this too. I was considered a tomboy because I loved video games. Because I liked certain things.
Not because you would get dirty and climb trees and like.
Oh no, I still did that.
Oh
no.
Like that,
I know, I still did that.
You were video games.
No. I was still doing that. Like I roughed house, but that was still for me. Like I would climb trees. I would like play tag, play sports, all of this stuff. But that wasn't what considered me a tomboy. No, it was really because I wasn't acting like a lady and I played video games. And I was told this by adults.
Record, I would like the podcast to know that I'm rolling my eyes hard at that.
First of all, it was a different time and a different culture. You have to understand that too.
I mean, understandable, but like
girls didn't play sports in my culture most of the time.
Okay, I am from the white American culture.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
girls were meant to play music and do art and stuff like that. And I did do those things, but it was mostly like sports because I had ADHD, and I had to have my energy go somewhere. And video games was another thing, and that was such a thing. That was so different for our culture, because some of the games that I played, they was like, why are you playing this game? You know, you're a girl. You shouldn't be playing. Mortal Kombat being one of them. You know, so I'm just like, I don't care. I like this. Or Soul Calibur.
The stereotypes of that time, especially around the time Mortal Kombat.
That's the thing.
The very early, like, mainstream video games and stuff. It's like, I can kind of see why Mortal Kombat would be more for boys, but I'd like to also point out
I still liked it because we didn't care, you know?
Right.
I played it when I was 5.
My dad didn't care. My mom's like, hey, this is very like pixelated graphics and everything like that. And like Abby understands that this is a video game and that these monsters are behind the screen and can't get to her. And I was playing with my dad. I didn't know what I was doing. It was a very cool looking thing and I could shoot at stuff.
Right. But like, yeah, like, hold up. I'm reading Monty's thing. We'll never understand why it matters and certain hobbies have to be gender oriented. Girls like gaming, that's just another, yeah, exactly. But this was back then. This is when video games were still for everybody. And do y'all remember when Animal Crossing came out?
Because it was a console game and
it was for the GameCube. And a lot of boys were like, well, this is a girl's game. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because the man who created Animal Crossing did it because he was lonely from moving to another place, you know, and trying to make friends and stuff. So he made a game about that experience. And guys were like, no, this is boring. It's not action oriented, so it's for girls. I heard that shit. And I'm like, shut the fuck, just stop. That was a product of our time. Now everyone's like, Animal Crossing, yes. Yes. And I'm like, yes. Again, it was just how everything was gendered, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, that's just how it was back then. Now I'm glad that it's not essentially that much of a thing. I mean, of course you still get those boys on voice calls who still make sexist jokes about. Yeah, well, no. well, yes, okay,
Emotionally
sure.
boy, grown ass
Stunted,
men.
yeah, it's emotionally stunted men who cannot understand why there are women playing and kicking their ass, and especially first person shooters. I've seen this
Yeah.
so many times in first person shooters and stuff like that, that these toxic guys would say sexist things. And but again, I think it's a product of the time, especially if they were our age and they still act such like in such a way. It was definitely a product of the 90s and 2000s where girls had to be quiet about it. They really couldn't talk about it or like communicate because of shit like that.
I'd point
Nowadays,
out that it was probably Nintendo that kind of pushed the envelope with that, because there was like Nintendogs and things like that.
yes,
Barbie,
you're right.
like there were computer games that like Barbie and stuff like that did. Again, for computer games, but like for the main console war, Nintendo
Right.
versus Xbox versus PlayStation, Nintendo was the first to really push that envelope. Even
Mhm.
though it was very divided, like
Mhm.
these are marketed to boys and these are marketed to girls, at least
Yes.
they were the first to really include girls into gaming.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um,
But
but like, as I would say that again, Nintendo is one of the ones that kind of progresses more and more. Anna Ray, Annie Ray on Twitch is playing his first time through
Pokemon.
of Pokemon Sword and Shield,
Mhm.
specifically Shield for him. And like when I played, I'm like, oh cool, they've completely removed the gender identifications of the grunts. They are now, instead
Yeah.
of grunt male or grunt female, they're now just grunts.
Mhm.
And it's like including gender diversity.
Mhm. Same
It's
with
like, oh, it's not a big deal to me. I'm a cisgendered woman. But it's like
no,
I
it
know
doesn't
that means
matter.
a lot to several of my friends.
Exactly. The another thing that I saw was with Splatoon 3.
Mhm.
You don't get a gender in Splatoon.
Right.
Like you
You
either
just get hairstyles and pants.
yeah, and you can just look the way you want to look. And I think they did the
Right.
same for Animal Crossing. Now you can have all kinds of hairstyles, all kinds of
Right.
looks. It's not, they won't say shit if you're wearing, you know, a dress for a boy or a girl. I think that one's also like they're gender neutral. So you can wear whatever what the
Yeah.
fuck you want. They've done really well with that in Animal Crossing. So I do
And it's
think
not, they're not making it a big deal either.
no,
It's just like, oh,
it's
hey,
like a subtle
this is
thing.
now an option for y'all that care for this option. For me, it's like,
Exactly.
it's not that big a deal. I'm still gonna have long-haired ponytails when I'm in Animal Crossing.
Yeah. That's why I think it's important. That like I genuinely do think. But I've seen more female gamers, especially streamers and such. I mean, they're still we're still pushing through, and it's still a very much a male dominated industry, video games, but it's not as bad as it used to be. Like that, I
Agreed.
do understand. Like I do think that it's not as bad as it used to be, and we're getting better slowly, but we are getting there.
So I'd like
And
to point out that I feel like female streamers and stuff that like, especially for esports and stuff, would probably actually throw hands and win against several of these guys that
well,
are
yeah, I mean
gatekeepers.
they're still just as what was it?
Capable and nerdy, physically
Right.
fit as the men.
Exactly. So like that's I think that's what's so for me. I like that's very important. Like you get to see all of that, and like Monty said, it's baby steps. We take baby steps to do so, to get to this point. We've done so much to get to this point, but I don't know. I do think it's gonna get better. Oh yes, video games and tabletop have a long way to go.
Yes,
But we
because we
have
haven't even really touched on, like Monty says, gaming culture, specifically in person and live action
Mhm.
games. We've only discussed video games for both PC and console.
Mm-hmm.
and
Well, that's why I'm
handheld.
like video games in general is just even that is so much to talk about because there's still so many questions I would love to ask, but
Oh no,
we don't have
part
time.
two.
I know. Like I'm very excited
How
to see
yes.
what kind of games were coming out right now. But yeah, like I can't tell you how awesome it is that everyone's, loving these simple games like Among Us, like Fall Guys in the past year. And of course, there's still like the first person shooters that will always be top, if that makes sense. Like they're always going to be number one. But there's and Stardew Valley. Can I also talk about Stardew Valley?
Of course.
The same reason that I know like a lot of guys play Animal Crossing, a lot of them also play Stardew Valley. And I'm just like, let guys play chill games without it saying like, oh, well, this is a girly game. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's a chill ass game that I love that Stardew Valley, like it caters to everybody.
Now,
I
going
love that it
into
caters to everybody.
aesthetics between the two, like I will give that Animal Crossing has this more kawaii.
Well,
feel
yeah, that's
to it,
no,
which
it's
is
always been
kinda
that way though.
more- Kind of more feels like a feminine thing. That most guys aren't
No,
openly accepting at
there
the
we go.
moment.
Because I was like, let guys like cute things. Let's just let guys
But
like
Stardew
cute
Valley
things.
has that 8-bit, 16-bit style. 18-bit is very gender neutral. It's not overly cute. It's not overly masculine. It's normal.
Yes, but like we're talking Stardew Valley. I'm addicted. It's been Stardew Valley and Splatoon for me lately. Like I'll sit and I will work on my Stardew farm. No, it's okay for derailing because I also love Stardew Valley. I finally got all the things I need to get to the boat to get to the island on Stardew, and I didn't realize how much they put into that game. I fucking love Stardew Valley. But anyway,
You mentioned this to me yesterday that it's just like, oh, Stardew Valley's going so well, all this
Yeah.
stuff. I need to divorce my husband, and I'm just like,
Oh, yeah,
what
I'm
did your
divorcing my husband.
do?
Oh yes. And I was just like, my in-game husband, not my real husband.
I was about to say, did he wake you up from a nap or something? Did he eat your burger again? What did he do?
And it's like, oh no, my in-game husband. Take a guess who my in-game husband is.
I have no idea.
I know you don't, but I'm asking Monty because he's the only one I've active in chat. It's been a meme lately. And I'm just like, no, not Sebastian. I'm aiming for Sebastian. I got Shane. And I love Shane. I love Shane so much. But I fixed that boy up. And I'm aiming for Sebastian. Not Shane. Yeah, Shane. I'm doing I have everything, and like Shane is good once you get to. If you marry him, he becomes an alcoholic. No, he's changed his ways. There is a added story that I think they did in the updates, one of the many updates they've been doing, that he actually stopped drinking. He drinks in moderation, but mostly, or he'll drink soda, pretty much. So, yeah. But if I divorce him, I wonder if he will become an alcoholic. Yeah, or if you make him marry him, he falls back into it. Not anymore. Not anymore. I think they did change that. But anyway, I'm talking Stardew Valley. Moving on. Thank you guys so much for... Wait, do you have any last minute closing things you want to say?
Class is over with my roller in Splatoon 2. Okay, we can close.
Wait, Monty, do you play Splatoon? I think we've already discussed that.
Yes, he
Okay,
does.
one day we'll have to play together. But yeah, so I guess that's everything.
I think Orant has roped him into the feud between you and Orant.
I recently got it. It's fun. It's so fun, and it's very forgiving.
It's so much fun.
But I want to appreciate. I thank you guys for chatting in the chat. Nasium, Monty, thank you so much for stopping by. I always love to hear these opinions. And video games, there's so many opinions on video games. So I love to hear everyone's opinions on them. Don't forget to follow us on What's Your Pen 10 on Twitter. Let me see if I can actually key in my thing here. Hold up. Keep on talking while I find us.
I'm gonna splat all of y'all. I'm just gonna run all y'all's asses over with my roller. I have also gotten into buckets now, and I will
Oh
dunk
yeah,
on.
buckets are so
I'll
fun.
dunk on you. Absolutely dunk on you. Monty's afraid of me. Chelzor is afraid of me. Ricey's afraid of me until she gets her brother Rio in on
Eh,
it.
I don't think I'll be as afraid of you now that I have been literally blowing through a bunch of shit.
Ranked.
Yeah.
I told you rank is so much fun. If y'all haven't gotten to ranked yet, into the ranked games yet, you really should. There's so many different modes in ranked that are just so much fun. I highly suggest anyone that plays Splatoon get into ranked.
For reals. For realsies. But yeah, that's everything. And we plugged in our Twitter. So if there's any news or anything, we'll post it on our Twitter. Thank you guys
Okay.
so much. And we'll definitely be playing or talking more video games for sure. Because it's such a broad topic. It is so broad.
We're a bunch of nerds.
Yeah. We are nerds. But yeah, thank you guys so much. And we will see you next week. Have a good one. You want to say bye?
Bye!
Bye.